We're going to give everyone, people are coming in a little late from
I'm on this side, so I gotta go through.
Good evening, everyone. Gamar Chatima Tova. May God inscribe us all in the book of life for a year of blessing, of health, joy, peace, goodness, togetherness. It has been 3 years since we've been here together on Kol Nidre to process with our Sifrei Torah down, to feel the beauty and might of 30 to 40 Torahs marching down with us to start this day when we appeal to God for our lives, and we recognize the blessings that surround us. And so this is a very special beginning to Kol Nidre. To get into the space, though, to switch from where we were during the week and to be in a place to receive these Torahs, to receive God's presence that is so near and dear to us on this Yom Kippur, I invite everyone to read with me together the middle inspirational reading on page 203. I'll give you a moment to turn there. Once again, page 203. If you look all the way to the left of the left-facing page, the middle is a meditation before Yom Kippur. We'll recite this together. I hereby forgive all who have hurt me, all who have done me wrong, whether deliberately or by accident, whether by word or by deed. May no one be punished on my account. As I forgive and pardon fully those who have done me wrong, may those whom I have harmed by word or by deed forgive and pardon me, whether I acted deliberately or by accident. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, my rock and my redeemer. As we welcome the Sifrei Torah into the sanctuary, I invite everyone to please rise.
Zaru ala tzadik, u'liyishrei lev simcha.
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 Mi ma'amakim kerati haya Adonai Shema v'koli Shema v'koli Shema v'koli Shema
Mamakim kelati kaya. Shema v'kolim, Shema v'kolim. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים.
ויהודה לעולם תשב,
ויהודה לעולם תשב, ויהודה לעולם תשב, ויהודה לעולם תשב, ויהודה לעולם לדור ודור, ויהודה לעולם לבדור, ויהודה לעולם לבדור, ויהודה לעולם לבדור, ויהודה לעולם לבדור, ויהודה לעולם לדור ודור.
It's also a nice opportunity to wish Todah Rabbah a huge thank you to all those who carried Torahs down. Their selection was not random. All those who carried a Torah this evening are either past presidents or active president, Josh, but are presidents of Har Zion who have served us with such love and care over the years, and also those who are chairs or presidents of Jewish organizations in the community. We're proud of all of our congregants who are strengthening the larger Jewish community. And it was a delight to see them marching in with the Sifrei Torah, literally and metaphorically carrying Torah forward in our community. In the spirit of carrying Torah forward, we have an additional part to our procession this evening. We are all blessed this year, in addition to our regular programming, our education, our prayer services, our social programming, we're also going to be having a very special year of Torah. This year of Torah is sponsored by the Abiri Jean Family Fund. And we'll have a number of special Torah programs throughout this year around the theme of Torah. One of the special ways in which we're celebrating Torah this year is that our congregation, Har Zion, will be writing a brand new Sefer Torah this year, and we'll all have opportunities to participate in that writing. The first opportunity for people to sign up is going to be November 13th through 15th. You'll see much more about that immediately after the holidays. But please find an opportunity this year when we offer it multiple times to take advantage as an individual or with your family to come in and to help us to write a beautiful Sefer Torah in the community. In just a moment, we're going to process down with the first book of this Torah. It is not yet bound. It is just the scroll of Bereshit, almost completed. It will be completed with our assistance. But it's a teaser and a sense of the blessing and joy to come as we take what is now just one of the 5 scrolls and as a community finish writing it together throughout the year. As part of this year, we're also going to honor the life cycle of Torah, just as we'll have the opportunity throughout the year to write a Sefer Torah together. We're going to kick off this year of Torah at the beginning, or in some ways at the end of this life cycle, by burying one of our Sifrei Torah. When a Sefer Torah hits a certain point of age or disrepair where it can no longer be repaired, the appropriate way to honor it as a loved one in our community is to bury it in a geniza. We've created a special place for this geniza on our Har Zion property, and at the end of the month of October, on October 30th in the morning, we're going to be burying a Sefer Torah and saying goodbye to one of our loving Sifrei Torah. So just now, coming down in a procession are going to be 1 1/5 Sifrei Torah, the Torah that we are going to be writing new this year together, and also the Torah that we are going to be burying. This Torah that we are going to be burying has been with us for high holidays. It's been kissed on high holidays. It's been kissed as it processes past us on Shabbatot or on weekdays, on festivals. Every time it comes around, we have an opportunity to give that Torah a kiss. And so as it makes its final procession around the sanctuary on Kol Nidre, we invite you for one last opportunity to say Todah Rabbah to that Torah for all that it's given us, for the life that it's sustained in us, and to give it a final kiss. When we say goodbye to Moses in the Torah, God takes Moses' life with a kiss. So too we'll have the opportunity now to welcome a new Torah into our community and to say goodbye to a Torah as well.
Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai elecha,
We turn at this time to page 204, last paragraph in Hebrew.
Shel Mala uvishiva shel Mata al da'at hamakom v'al da'at hakal anu matirim im havaryani.
We read together in English, bottom paragraph on 204. By the authority of the court on high, and by the authority of this court below, with divine consent and with the consent of this congregation, we grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed.
Vishiva shel Mala, uvishiva shel Mata, al dat hamakom, v'al dat hakahal, anu matirin lehitpalel im ha'avaryani.
Page 205, Kol Nidre.
V'esarei, v'charamei, v'konamei, v'chinuyei, v'kinusei, u'shavuot. Tavana Uriacharimna V'tasarna Nafshatana Dintarna Udishtebana Asana Anashatana Miyom Kippurim Ad Yom Kippurim Havalenu Letova Kuhon Icharatna Vehon Yehon Shiran, Yehon Shiran, Shvitin, Shvitin, Betelin umvutalin, la sheririn, velakayamin, nidrana, la nidrei. Shivuatana la Shivut. Kol nidrei v'esarei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinuyei v'kinusei u'shivut din darna Sarna al nafshatana miyom kippurim zeh ad yom kippurim haba Aleinu letova kulhon icharana vehon kulhon yehon shiran Shvikin, shvitin, betelin, umvutalin, la sheririn, velakayamin, nidrana la nidrei, v'esarana la esarei, u'shivuatana la shivut. Kol nidrei v'esarei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinuyei v'chinusei u'shivut din darna u'di ishtabana
Yom Kippurim
Yom Kippurim Ad Yom Kippurim.
Aleinu
Letova Gun Icharana Vehon
Kulhon Yeron Sheran Kulhon
Yeron Sharon Yeron Sharon Shvikin Shvitin Bethelin Umevutalin Bethelin Umevutalin La Sheririn
Velatayamin
Nidran alai sarei Ve'esarana lai sarei Ve'esarana lai sarei
Ushevuatana
Shivatana Shivatana Ushevuatana La Shevut V'nislach l'chol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar b'tocham ki l'chol ha'am b'shegaga v'nislach l'chol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar b'tocham ki l'chol ha'am b'shgaga v'nislach l'chol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar b'tocham ki l'chol ha'am b'shgaga Selach na lavon ha'am hazeh כגודל חסדך, וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה, ממצרים ועד הנה, ושם נאמר, ויאמר אדוני, צלחתי כדבריך, ויאמר אדוני, צלחתי כדבריך, ויאמר אדוני, Salachti kidvarecha. Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo.
Eloheinu melech haolam Shechianu v'kiyamanu v'hiyanu lazman hazeh.
Amen.
Shakoach to Chazan Vogel for a beautiful, touching Kol Nidre, a 30-second Kol Nidre with us at Har Zion. Throughout the month of Elul that led up to Rosh Hashanah, I focused my teachings and classes on Shabbat and at meetings of synagogue leadership on the topic of tshuva, the repair and the strengthening of our relationship with God and of the sacred relationships that decorate our lives. This is the famous spiritual work of the High Holy Day season. But while there are a number of guidelines as to how to go about this work, there's almost nothing that lets us know for certain when we've hit the mark, when we've accomplished it, outside of perhaps our literal survival of the day of Yom Kippur. What does it look like? What does it feel like to achieve tshuva? How do we know that we did it right? What does it feel like to be fully reconciled with God and to know that you have a fresh start? What does it feel like to be fully forgiven by another or to fully forgive another? I want us to think about these questions over the next 25 hours together, because we will only achieve our goal if we have a sense of what it looks like to achieve that goal. And so to explore these questions and to encourage us to search for God through our relationship with others, I'll share with you on this Kol Nidre evening the Jewish folktale, The Princess Who Wanted to See God. There was once a princess who had never cried. She never really had a reason to cry at all because everything that she ever wanted in this world, she got. One morning, she woke up and ran to her father, the king, and said, "I want to see God." "God," her father said. "God? As in God? Don't be silly, child. No one ever, anywhere, has ever seen God." "And that," smiled Princess Eleanor sweetly, "is exactly why I want to see God." Her father, the king, took a deep breath and shook his head. And he knows that sometimes he was impatient with his daughter, but he also loves her very much and wanted to get for her anything that she wanted. And And Princess Eleanor knew this about her father, too. And so the next day, the king summoned his chief of laws. And the chief of laws approached, and the king said, "My daughter, the princess, wants to see God, and I order you to take care of it." The chief of laws smiles because he knows quite well where to find God as far as he's concerned. And even though this young princess doesn't have his keen mind sharpened by years and years of study, he's quite confident that he can show her God as well. And so he takes the princess up to the tallest tower of the palace, and up in the uppermost chamber, a room filled with books, he brings her over to an area with large tomes, older, bigger books than she's ever seen. And in the center of that area, there's a stand, and on top of that stand is the great book of the land. He turns the pages of this book for her and shows her all of the laws of the land that the people follow and what happens when the people are disobedient to those laws. He folds his hands solemnly and he says, "Princess, if you look through all of the laws in this book, you will see God." With a swipe of her hand, the princess pushes the great book of the land onto the floor, stomps her foot, and says, "Laws are not God. I want to see God, not some old book." The chief of laws is taken aback, and he runs off to tell the king about how rude and willful his daughter is. Next, the king invites his chief of treasury, who's responsible for all of the gold in the land. And he says to the chief of treasury, "My daughter, the princess, wants to see God, and I order you to take care of it." The chief of treasury bows politely and smiles because he knows exactly where God is as far as he's concerned. And even though the princess doesn't possess his mathematical prowess or have the same keen interest in the composition of fine metals, he's quite certain that he can show her God too. And so he brings the princess down to the deepest dungeon in the castle. He takes a huge key out of his pocket, unlocks a very thick door, and as the door slowly swings open, the brightness of the gold inside causes the princess to step back and to blink. The chief of treasury folds his hands solemnly and he says, "Young princess, if you look at all of this gold, the gold of the kingdom, then you will certainly see God." Again, the young princess swipes her hand, knocking over a pile of gold, cascading onto the floor. And she says, "Gold is not God. I want to see God, not a pile of old money." The chief of treasury noticed how flushed the princess's cheeks are. He puts the back of his hand to her head, and he rushes off to tell the king that his daughter, the princess, must be suffering from some strange unknown malady. Since the chief of treasury and the chief of laws weren't able to handle this task, the king decides to take it on himself. He begins looking through the castle for God, although he realizes that he doesn't actually know what God looks like. But then again, he reasons he's never had a reason to look before. So he continues looking. He looks in all the royal corners. He looks under the royal bed. He heads down even to the royal kitchen. But he can't find God anywhere. So he walks out of the front castle gates and begins walking down the path toward a village. He looks up in the trees looking for God. He looks around hedges. He looks under stones. But he's not successful. As he's walking along the path, trudging along, he sees an old man planting a pear tree. As the king looks at this man, he realizes this man is so old, he's within a breath of his life. and he's planting a tree. So the king smiles and sits down next to him and chuckles as he says, "Old man, do you really think that you're going to be able to eat the fruit from this tree?" The old man looks up at the king and looks down at the big hole that he was just digging. And he says slowly, "No, but my children will, and if not them, their children will." And he admires the work that he put in, and he says, "This is going to be a great tree someday, God willing." At these last two words, the king looks at the man curiously and says, "Do you know God?" And now the man looks curiously back at the king, and he says, "Of course. Don't you? You are the king." The king scratches his royal chin and says, "I don't really know. But my daughter wants more than anything in the world to see God. Can you show God to her?" At this, the old man sat up straight, because he's heard many stories of the princess who's never cried, and he's also heard many stories of what happens to those who disappoint this princess. He looks up the road that leads back to the castle, and he looks at that same road leading in the other direction down to the village, and he sees a small cottage by the road. He turns back to the king and he says, "Maybe I can show her God. Maybe I can." The king brings the old man up to the palace and introduces him to his daughter, who immediately says, "Have you really seen God, old man?" He smiled and nodded. And she stomped her foot and she said, "Well then, show me God." She didn't believe that this man knew anything about where to find God. But he said to her, "I will show you God, but first, you have to do something for me." And she said, "What? What do I have to do?" The old man replied, "I need you to go and visit with me someone who you've never met, someone you don't know." "Then will you show me God?" she asked. "If God wills it, then yes, I will show you God. And if God doesn't will it," she warned, "you'll be sorry." The old man brought the princess out of the palace gates, walking down that road toward the village, but they stopped short of the village. They stopped at that small cottage along the way. The old man sat down on a box and gestured for the princess to go into the cottage. "Go in," he said. The princess was shocked. She had never been to a place that was so small and so poor before, and so very timidly, she opened the door and walked in. There was a young girl sitting in a chair at a table facing that front door. She had a bright smile on her face, although her face was quite dirty. "I am Princess Eleanor," the princess said quite haughtily as she entered into the cottage. The little girl's smile grew even bigger. "Oh, wow, thank you for visiting me. I can't believe that the princess of our kingdom, the princess who lives in the beautiful castle, has come to visit me in my home. Thank you." She smiled, but she didn't move. And the princess said, "When you meet a princess, you're supposed to stand up and you're supposed to bow." "I can't," said the little girl. "What do you mean you can't?" said the princess. At this point, the stuffiness of the cottage was giving her a headache. "What do you mean you can't?" "I can't walk," she whispered. "I never could walk, ever." She tugged at her skirt a little bit and pointed to her legs. At that moment, Princess Eleanor said, "Oh." She looked again at the little girl's legs, quickly looked away, hastily walked out of the cottage, and shut the door behind her. She walked silently behind the old man as they headed back up to the castle. And when they got there, the old man turned around and asked her, "Are you ready?" "Ready? Ready for what?" she asked. She had been so busy thinking about the little girl that she had forgotten about herself. "You are ready," said the old man. He reached into his pocket and he took out a small mirror. And to the princess's surprise, he placed this mirror in her hand and he said, "Hold up the mirror to your face and look deep into your heart." As Princess Eleanor lifted up the mirror and saw her face, suddenly tears began to roll down the cheeks of the princess who had never cried. Big, soft, wet tears. And the old man asked her, "Why are you crying?" And the princess said, "I have been selfish and terrible my whole life, and I never realized it until this very day. That girl suffered her whole life, and I made her feel worse." "Oh, sir," she said, "do you think that we can send her some food from the palace kitchen or maybe a new dress? Do you think that she would like that? Do you think it would help?" And the old man said to her, "I don't know. But I think that we should go back. We should return. And you should go in and sit with her and talk with her. I think that she would like that the most. And I think that you would like that too." Princess Eleanor nodded through her sobs. And then the old man gently took the mirror from her hand, put it away. "Now," he said, "you have seen God." At this time, we'll invite all of the 1st through 6th grade students who are with us, if they'd like. Of course, you're welcome to stay with us here in the sanctuary. You're also welcome at this time to join Rabbi Sean in the lobby as you head over together to the Berkowitz Family Auditorium for special student activities on this Kol Nidre. And for those of us remaining in the sanctuary at this time, we invite everyone to please rise as we turn to page 207 for Baruch Hu.
Amen. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
We may be seated as we continue to the bottom of page 207.
והחוכמה פתח שערים ותבנה משנתי מחליף הזמנים מסדר את הכוכבים ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ולילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים.
Amen. Page 208.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל ואהבת את הרעים מהספר. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו וקומנו נעשך בכוחך. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל
Amen.
שמע ישראל אדוני ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
We continue. Page 209.
Something למדתם וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך למען ירבו ימיכם ודמיכם בעל הביתם לתת ויאמר להם כשאני מדבר בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם וזולן ציצית למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת ואמונה כוזב וקיים עלי כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואין זו טוב ונחי ישראל עבד הנביא המלכים מלכנו הגואלנו יקף כל ריסים היל נפרע עלינו מסרים משהו המעביר בניו בין גזרי ים סוף את רודפיהם ושונאיהם בתהומות טיבה וראו בניו גבורתו שיבחו והודו לשמו.
We're in the middle of page 210.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך בעדים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה. זה לי אנו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
Even as we come to stand before God in judgment, we pray for divine peace and protection, page 211.
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu
V'taknei
b'shamecha, v'taknei b'sat tova l'melfanecha,
Ufros
u'shienu
aleinu.
l'man shemecha, v'gem. Hiel shomreinu umatzilenu ata. Hiel melech chanun v'rachum ata. Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu l'chaim u'l'shalom me'ata v'ad olam. Ufiros aleinu sukat shalomecha, Baruch atah Adonai apores sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. Page 212.
Ki v'yom hazeh yichaper aleichem l'taherem mikol chatotechem lifnei Adonai titaru.
Chatzi Kaddish from the bottom of page 212.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash mei rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalamad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedecho beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imiru. Amen. Yehi shemei rabbah milvara le'olam ul'amei omaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yiframam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitala v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu li'ela li'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran bi'alma v'imiru amen.
As we encounter the first Amidah of this Yom Kippur day, we can think about Princess Eleanor and some of the lessons of the story that, interestingly, where they thought that God could not be found anywhere in the palace, ultimately, it actually was, because Princess Eleanor was back in the palace when she looked at that mirror. Where are the places in our own lives where God is hidden from us? And how can the relationships with those close to us, our friends and our loved ones, help us discover God in ways that we haven't yet done? We continue pages 213 through 221, the private Amidah for Kol Nidre.
Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom. Alleluia kol Israel, ve'imelu.
We invite everyone to turn to page 203 for the poem Ya'aleh. For those who are able, will remain standing as the ark is opened. And Ya'aleh lets us know the day that's ahead of us begins in the evening, continues through the morning, continues through tomorrow evening, and we have the refrain, Me'erev, Miboker, Ad Arev. And as you pick up those words in the melody, you're welcome to chant along with Chazan Vogel, Me'erev, Miboker, Ad Arev.
Ya'aleh tachanun me'erev, v'yavo shavateinu miboker, v'yera rinunenu ad arev. Ya'aleh kolenu me'erev, v'yavo tzidkateinu miboker, v'yera fidyoneinu, v'yera fidyoneinu ad arev. Ya'aleh inu yeinu me'erev, ve'yavo slichateinu miboker, v'yera'eh nakateinu ad arev. Ya'aleh minuseinu me'erev, v'yavo lemano miboker, v'yera'eh kipurenu ad arev, v'yera'eh kipurenu ad arev. Ya'aleh isheinu me'erev, ve'yavo tahoreinu miboker, v'yera'eh chinonenu ad arev. Ya'aleh zichronenu me'erev, v'yavo v'yudenu miboker, v'yera'eh haratenu ad arev, v'yera'eh haratenu ad arev. Ya'aleh tovkeinu me'erev, ve'yavo gilenu miboker, v'yera'eh bakashateinu ad arev. Ya'aleh, Ya'aleh, enkatenu, enkatenu, v'yavo elecha miboker v'yira'eh Eleinu, hadarev, ya'aleh,
Continue on the top of page 224.
Shomei atfila adecha kol basar yavo kol basar lishtachavot lefanecha Adonai yavo vishtachavot lefanecha
You may
Adonai
be seated.
vichabdu lishmecha Lechu neranan al Adonai, naria letzur yishenu, nekadma panav v'toda, bizmiro naria lo. Asher lo hayam v'hu hasahu, v'yabesh et yadav yatzaru, Asher biyado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol b'sar ish.
Continue to the top of page 225.
Haneshama lach v'haguf polach chusa ala malach Haneshama lach v'haguf polach Haneshama lach v'haguf poalach v'haguf poalach chusa ala malach chusa ala malach Malach, Haneshama lach, v'haguf polach, chusa ala malach, Haneshama lach, v'haguf shalach, v'haguf shelach. Adonai aseh leman shemecha. Atanu al shimcha. Adonai aseh leman shemecha. Bavur kivro shimcha. Ki el chanun v'rachum shemecha. Leman shimcha Adonai. V'salachta la'avoneinu ki ravehu.
In the middle of page 225, we continue on our own with Chazan Vogel, repeating each line that he says in Hebrew or in English.
Darkecha Eloheinu, la'richa pecha, la'reim v'latovim, Vihi
Come
tehilatecha.
before you relying on you are according to the ruler's nature. Help us.
Lemancha Eloheinu, asev lanu, rea midateinu, dalim v'reikim.
You are known as gracious, compassionate God, forgive our sin, though it is great. Your way is to be patient with sinners and other righteous.
Hale arucha lale nidaf, tinachem ala fe'efer, tashlich atainu v'tachon b'masecha, tere ki ein ish asei imanu tzedakah.
And relief to this driven leaf, have compassion on that which is but dust and ashes. Cast away our sins, be kind to your creations. No human being can plead for us, have mercy upon us. Page 226.
El rachabay mata uval harachamim nikreit v'derech teshuva hareit agerulah rachamech v'tachanuni v'tuvelem yodadachalem nefnim kedem tavor al pesha v'timche asham yom vayit yatsevi mosham ta'azin shavatenu v'takshiv menu ma'amar ki yom vayikra v'shem Adonai.
Please rise as we recite the 13 attributes of God.
Vayavor Adonai al panav vayikra Adonai Adonai Erachum v'chanun Erech apayim v'rachesed v'emet Noter chesed v'alafim Nosei avon v'fesha v'chata v'nakeh V'salachta la'avonenu u'l'chatatenu u'nechaletanu Selach lanu avinu ki chatanu Mechal lanu malkeinu ki fashanu Ki ata Adonai tov v'salach v'rach chesed l'chol korecha.
We remain standing as the ark is opened on page 227.
Ki hine kach omer biyad hayotzer birtzoto marchif uvirtzoto nekatzer kein anachnu biyadecha chesed notzer la brisa beik vial tefen la yetzer ki hine ka'even biyad mesatet virtzoto oches uvirtzoto mechatet Kein anachnu biadecha mechageh u'memotech la brita beik vial tefen la yetzer ki hine kagarzen biadecha rash Birtzoto dibek laor, uvirtzoto peirash. Yein anachnu, biadecha tomet ani varash. La brita beik, vial tefen la yetzer.
We continue with the next three stanzas out loud in English with the Hebrew refrain, La Brit Habeit, on the left side. We're on the fourth paragraph. It begins together as the helm. Let's read together as a community. As the helm in the hand of the sailor who holds the course or abandons it at will, so are we in your hand, God, good and forgiving God.
La Brit Habeit, La Brit Habeit, v'yateifen la'yetzer.
As glass in the hand of the glazier, who shapes or melts it at will, so are we in your hand, pardoner of sin and transgression.
La Brit Habeit, La Brit Habeit, v'yateifen la'yetzer.
As cloth in the hand of the draper, who drapes or twists it at will, so are we in your hand, righteous God.
La Brit Habeit, La Brit Habeit, v'yateifen la'yetzer, ki hine ka'kesef, b'yad hatzoref, birzoto misagzik, uvirzoto mitzaref, kein anachnu, biyadecha mametzilet mazor toref, la Brit Habeit, la Brit Habeit, v'yateifen la'yetzer.
As the ark is closed, we may be seated. We continue to the bottom half of page 231 with this special song, Ya'anah. It picks up on our theme this evening. It begins, Ya'anah Sa'ech, Adonai, where shall I find you? High and hidden is your place. Continue with Ya'anah and the blessing of knowing that when we go out to seek God, at that very same time, God is seeking us.
Ya'anah emsa'acha, mekomecha na'alev ne'elam. V'ya'anah lo emsa'acha, kivodcha malei olam. Kivodcha malei olam. Kivodcha malei olam. V'ya'anah lo emsa'acha, kivodcha malei olam. Dirashti kirvatecha, b'chol libi kiraticha, uv'seiti likiratecha, likrati mitzaticha. Kivodcha malei olam, kivodcha malei olam. Va'ana lo emsacha, kivodcha malei olam.
Top of page 232.
El melech yoshev al kisei rachamim. Mochel avonot, mochel avonot amo. Ma'avir rishon, rishon, marbe mechila lachatayim, uselicha lefoshim, osei tzedakot, osei tzedakot, im kol basar, basar geruach, lo keratam tigmol, lo keratam tigmol.
Israel, כמו שהודעת לעולם מקדם, כמו שכתוב.
וירד אדוני בענן ויתייצב עמו שם. ויקרא בשם אדוני.
Please rise if you're able to do so for the 13
ויעבור
attributes.
אדוני על פניו, ויקרא אדוני, אדוני, רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נושא חסד ואלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. וסלחת על עווננו לחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, נחל לנו מכנו כי פשענו. כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
We're on the bottom paragraph on page 232.
סלח נא לעוון העם הזה כגודל חסדך וכאשר נשאת לעם הזה ממצרים הביאת הנה ושם נאמר ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך.
We remain standing as the ark is open. Shema Kolenu on page 233. Every day in our prayers we say a blessing. We refer to God as Shomea Tfilah, the one who hears our prayer. Ever more so, even more importantly, we ask God to hear our voices this evening. And Shema Kolenu is hear our collective voice, those prayers that we offer together for the good of our community, for the good of the world. We ask for a special emphasis from God's ear to hear our voice when we raise the same prayer together.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus v'rachem aleinu v'kabel b'rachamim u'v'ratzon et tefilateinu.
By your voice, Adonai our God, be kind and have compassion for us. Willingly and lovingly accept our prayer.
Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Turn us toward you, Adonai, and we will return to you. Make our days seem fresh as they once were.
Al tashlichenu milfanecha v'ruach kodshecha al tikach mimenu.
Do not cast us away from you. Do not take your holy presence from us.
Tashlichenu v'yetzikna kichlot kochenu kichlot kochenu al tasveinu.
Do not cast us away as we grow old. Do not desert us as our energy wanes. The ark is closed. We continue at the bottom of the page, 233.
Eloheinu Velohei avoteinu, al tazveinu, ve'al tishenu, ve'al tachlimenu, ve'al tafer britcha itanu, korvenu l'toratecha, lamdenu mitzvotecha, horeinu derachecha, adlibenu lira et shemecha, umolet levaveinu le'havatecha, v'nashuv elecha be'emet, uve'levav shalem, u'leman shimcha gadol, Timchol v'tislach la'avonenu, kahakatuv b'divrei kodshecha, u'leman shimcha Adonai, v'salachta la'avoni, hiravu.
Continue at the top of page 234 with one of our favorite pieces to chant together, Anu Amecha. We not only celebrate our connection to God, but in this we also celebrate our connection to one another.
Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu, selach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu, ki anu amecha, v'ata Eloheinu, anu v'anecha, v'ata avinu, anu avadecha, v'ata Adoneinu, anu yalecha, v'ata kelkeinu, anu nachlatecha, v'ata goraleinu, anu sonecha, v'ata roeinu, anu karmecha, v'ata notreinu, anu ulatecha, v'ata yotreinu, anu rayatecha, v'ata doteinu, anu ulatecha, v'ata keroveinu, anu amecha, v'ata malkeinu, anu mamirecha, v'ata mamireinu, anu azefanim, v'ata rachum v'chanun, anu kishei orev, v'ata erech apayim, anu mlei avon, v'ata malei rachamim, anu yameinu ketzel over, v'atahu ushnotecha lo yitamu.
Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu, tavo lefanecha tefilatenu, ve'al tiralam itkinatenu, shenananu hazefanim, hazefanim uksheorem, lomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu tzadikim, anachnu ve'lo chatanu, aval ananu, aval
Please rise. 235, the first confessional.
Ay, 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 Hashamnu, Agadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, Ay, 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 Evinu, Vihirshanu, Zadnu, Hamasnu, Tafalnu Sheker, ay, 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 Yatznu Ra, Hizavnu, Latnu, Maradnu, Niyatznu, ay, 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 Sararnu, Avinu, Ashanu, Sararnu, Ishinu Oref, ay, 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 Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu, ay, 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 Sarnu mi mitzvotecha umi mishpatecha hatovim velo shavalanu v'yata tzadik al kol ha'ba'aleinu ki emet asita va'anachnu hirshanu.
We read together at the bottom of page 235. Our God and God of our ancestors, forgive and pardon our sins on this day of atonement. Blot out and disregard our sins and errors. Subdue our instincts so that they may serve you. Bend our stiffness so that we turn to you. Renew our passion for observing your ordinances. Circumcise our hearts to love and revere your name, as it is written in your Torah. Then Adonai, your God, will circumcise your heart and the hearts of your offspring, to love Adonai, your God, with all your heart and all your soul, that you may live. We may be seated as we continue in Hebrew, the letter He at the bottom of page 236.
אתה יודע רזי עולם ותעלומות סתרי כל חי, אתה חופש כל חדרי בטן ובוחן כליות ולב. אין דבר נעלם ממך ואין נסתר מנגד עיניך. ובכן יהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, שתסלח לנו על כל חטאותינו, ותמחה לנו על כל עוונותינו, ותכפר לנו על כל פשעינו.
As we turn to page 237 for the full confessional, there are several sections. This first section, each line that Chazan Vogel chants in Hebrew, we will chant responsively the exact same line in English for the first section And then for the second and third sections, we'll continue in the Hebrew. We invite everyone who's able to please rise. 237. We have sinned against you unwillingly and willingly. And we've sinned against you through hardening our hearts. We have sinned against you thoughtlessly. And we've sinned against you in idle chatter. We've sinned against you through sexual immorality. And we've sinned against you openly and in private. We've sinned against you knowingly and deceitfully. And we've sinned against you by the way we talk. We have sinned against you by defrauding others. And we've sinned against you in our innermost thoughts. We've sinned against you through forbidden trysts. And we've sinned against you through empty confession. We've sinned against you by scorning parents and teachers. And we've sinned against you purposefully and by mistake. We've sinned against you by resorting to violence. And we've sinned against you by public desecration of your name. We've sinned against you through foul speech. And we've sinned against you through foolish talk. We've sinned against you through pursuing the impulse to evil. And we've sinned against you wittingly and unwittingly.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכחש ובכזב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכפת שוחד, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלצון, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלשון הרע, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בסמרתה, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך במחשב בשדה, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנשך ובמרבית, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך
Pick up together at the refrain at the top of page 238.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בעיניים רמות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בעזות מצח, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו וחל לנו כפר לנו. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפריקתו, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בקלות ראש, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחשיות עורף, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בריצת רגליים להרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתשפט שווא, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בשנאת חינם. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתשומת יד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצמאון לבב, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו וחל לנו כפר לנו.
We may be seated. As we turn to page 240, we have a special piyut or poem called Hu Ya'anenu, the one who answers us. We are going to read each line of this poem together in English on page 240. And Chazan Vogel is going to chant back the words Hu Ya'anenu as you pick up the melody. We're all welcome to join in and sing Hu Ya'anenu after each line that we chant, with confidence that in all of our prayers on this Yom Kippur that God will answer all of us. May the one who answered, Sarah, past the time of her youth,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Abraham on Mount Moriah,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Isaac, their son, bound on the altar,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Rebekah, as her son struggled within her,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Jacob at Bethel,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Leah in her loneliness,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Rachel, desperate for a child,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Joseph, abandoned in prison,
Hu Ya'anenu,
the Hebrew midwives as they stood at the birthing place,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Yocheved having faith on the bank of the Nile,
Hu Ya'anenu,
the people Israel on the shores of the sea,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Moses standing on the slopes of Sinai,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Miriam with her well of water,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Aaron offering incense to God,
Hu Ya'anenu,
Phinehas seeking his place above the crowd,
Hu Ya'anenu,
the daughters of Tzlafchad standing their ground,
Hu Ya'anenu,
and those who are righteous, upright, decent, and compassionate.
Hu Ya'anenu.
We continue to the bottom paragraph of page 242, another poem. You can see, even if you're not a Hebrew reader, you can see that the first word on each line at the bottom of 242 is the same, Rachamana. This root rechem is God's mercy or compassion. It's one of the ways that we reach out to God and hope that God answers us. When God answers Hu Ya'anenu, that God will bring us compassion.
Rachamana diane lani anena, Rachamana diane lemakiche ruchanena, Rachamana diane levivre libanena, Rachamana anena, Rachamana chus, Rachamana peruk, Rachamana peruk, Rachamana shazev, Rachamana shazev, Rachamana rachemalan, Rachamana rachemalan, Hashta bagala, uvizman kariv, Hashta bagala, uvizman kariv, Hashta bagala, uvizman kariv, Hashta bagala, uvizman kariv, Hashta bagala, uvizman kariv.
Please rise for Avinu Malkeinu, page 243.
Avinu Malkeinu, chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, ein lanu melech ela ata. Kadesh aleinu, Kadesh, vatelem aleinu gizei krisher. Avinu Malkeinu, vatelem machshavot zoneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, chafer asad, goivenu Avinu. Avinu Malkeinu, zerbe vecher. Avinu Malkeinu, Salach Mechol, Chavonotenu, Avinu Malkeinu Meche.
We continue repeating the lines that Chazan Vogel chants in the middle of page 243.
Avinu Malkeinu, Hachazirenu b'tshuva shlema lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu hachazirenu b'tshuva shlema lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, shalach refuah shlema lecholei amecha.
Avinu Malkeinu shilach refuah shlema lecholei amecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, zochreinu b'zikaron tov lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu zochreinu b'zikaron tov lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu b'sefer chayim tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer chayim tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu b'sefer geula v'yeshua.
Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer geula v'yeshua.
Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu b'sefer parnasa v'chalkala.
Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer parnasa v'chalkala.
Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu b'sefer zechuyot.
Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer zechuyot.
Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu b'sefer slicha u'mechila.
Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer slicha u'mechila.
Avinu Malkeinu, hatzabach lanu Yeshua bekarov.
We continue through the bottom of page 243 to the top of page 244.
Avinu Malkeinu, kabel v'rachamim v'ratzon tfilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, nat shivenu, ha'turekam lefanech. Avinu Malkeinu, zechor kefar anachnu. Avinu Malkeinu, chamol alenu v'alenu. Avinu Malkeinu, asay lema'an achrugim al shem kodshecha. Avinu Malkeinu, asay lema'an tevuchim al yichudecha. Avinu Malkeinu, asay lema'an ba'ei va'ei shuvamayim al kiddush yemecha. Avinu Malkeinu, asay lemancha, imlo lema'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, vanenu, vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, vanenu, vanenu. He ain't banu masim, asay manu, tzedaka v'chesed. Asay manu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'oshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, vanenu, vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, vanenu, vanenu. He ain't banu masim, asay manu, tzedaka v'chesed. Asay manu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu.
We continue to page 245, Kaddish Shalem, as the ark is closed.
Yitgadal ve'yitkadash.
Yum bum, yum bum, yum
Yitgadal ve'yitkadash. Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Bi'alma divrakirute v'yamlich malchute. V'chayekonu v'yomecho uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'gala uv'izman kariv v'imeru amen.
Amen.
Yesh me'iraba me'arav le'olam olamel mayah.
Yitbarach, Yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishar Yishabach, V'yitpar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadam, V'yitaleh, V'yithalam.
Shemei de Kudusha,
Shemei de Kudesha, Brithu, Le'ela le'ela mikol birchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma, Tushbechata, V'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma, V'imiru, amen.
Amen.
Titkabel zelotehon, v'va'utechon dechol beit Yisrael, kadam avuhon divishmaya, v'imiru, v'imiru, amen.
Amen.
Yesh lamaraba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imiru, v'imiru, amen.
Amen.
V'zeh shalom b'miroma v'yaseh shalom aleinu, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael. V'imiru, v'imiru, amen.
We invite everyone to rise for Aleinu 246.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, v'atei tidula yotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'gayei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpot ha'adam, shelo samkeinu kahem, v'kol aleinu v'anachnu koreim, u'misachavim, u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei ha'mlachim, ha'kadosh baruch hu. V'nozei shamayim v'yoser haaretz, v'moshe v'garav ha'shamayim v'av shchinat zobek avim ramim, v'loheinu emot, malkeinu efeset v'kakotov v'tov yadat hayom, v'shvot halav v'cherenai g'olim b'shem. Al kenek v'cherenai loheinu v'mirot. Malchut shelcha hi ulmeyat yimloch bechavod. Kakav b'toratecha Adonai yimloch li'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai le'echad, u'shemo echad.
We invite all those in mourning or observing Yartzeit to remain standing. Everyone else may be seated as we continue to Mourner's Kaddish on page 247. Today, in loving memory, we recall Erwin Blaustein, Morris Bronstein, Samuel Dansky, Max J. Essner, Harold Herman, Abraham Levin, Jack Perry, Eva Risak, Jacob Schotel, Joseph Weisberg, and all others whose memory we hold dear in our hearts. If you have any names to add for Yartzeit, please offer them at this time. We also acknowledge the recent losses of Irma Shapiro, Howard Kesselman, Enid Flax, David Weinberger, Murray Levin, and Louis S. Wall. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'ar v'letzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you along with all others who are mourning for the loss of their loved ones, and may you find support, love, sustenance, and strength from our Har Zion community. And let us all say Amen. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah. Bi'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar, v'yitalev, v'yithalal, shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela, le'ela, mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. We may be seated. Again, it's wonderful to be with you on Kol Nidrei. It is a somber evening, but it's also an evening in which our football team is 4-0, and the Phillies are in the playoffs for the first time in 11 years. So we have some joy coming into this Kol Nidrei and Yom Kippur as well. We are together tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for Psukei de Zimra, Shachrit, and the Torah service. We will hear inspirational remarks from the president of our board of directors, Dr. Joshua Friedman, tomorrow at noon. At 12:15, we have a community moment, a very special opportunity to thank Chazan Vogel together for his years of love and distinguished service to our Har Zion community. That moment will be immediately followed at 12:30 by my sermon, and Yizkor right after that as well. Mincha and Ne'ilah begin at 4:45 tomorrow afternoon. In the afternoon break, Rabbi Sean, our director of lifelong learning, will be teaching an adult education class, so it's a wonderful opportunity if you're here to enjoy, to relax, and to pick up some Torah on Yom Kippur tomorrow from Rabbi Sean. So Mincha Ne'ilah at 4:45, and at 7:30 to 7:45, we'll be concluding Yom Kippur with another community moment. Shofar, our Yom Kippur finale, and Havdalah, celebrating our Gesher students. You'll hear that name Gesher a lot. You heard it on Rosh Hashanah as well. Gesher is the name for our new B'nai Mitzvah program here at Har Zion. Tomorrow morning, there are also youth and family services and activities. 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. is our preschool age students and family service in the Berkowitz, followed by babysitting until 12:15. And at 9:30 to 10:30 a.m., our 1st through 6th grade students and their parent service, or whatever guardian adult is accompanying them in the chapel, followed by activities until 12:15 as well. The goal is for all of our community to be able to be together for the community moment, the thank you Chazan Vogel moment, tomorrow afternoon at 12:15. Please also know a special invitation again to our Gesher students for Ne'ilah at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. And for those also who just completed their bar bat mitzvah, so this is 5th through 8th grade students, and for those that have shofar that they were given upon becoming bar bat mitzvah, please bring that shofar with you to blow it for the final Tikiyah Gedolah tomorrow evening. Looking ahead as well to the holidays of Sukkot and Simchat Torah, this year we're doing Simchat Torah morning and afternoon differently than in the past. We're taking advantage of the fact that we have families who are with us on Simchat Torah morning, and we're having a special celebration, celebrating our longest tenured teacher in the Noreen Cook Center, Joy Cutler, who's been with us for 27 years. So we have a special aliyah for Joy, and we hope that the community is going to come out to support her in that moment as she's honored with the final aliyah of the Torah. And we are going to be starting the Torah again anew and giving that first aliyah to Sandy Tobin, our new director of the Noreen Cook Center for Early Childhood Education. So a wonderful opportunity to celebrate with our preschool community in the morning, and in the afternoon, rather than canceling our JFGRS religious school for the holiday, we are intentionally having it on the holiday for a special celebration involving our students, involving our parents or grandparents on the holiday as well. So special activities coming up even beyond Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And of course, once again, think about how it began this evening. Look for the opportunity to be with us in the morning of October 30th as we formally say goodbye and bury in the Geniza on our campus the Sefer Torah that was marched around, that we got a chance to kiss goodbye to this evening. And we will begin writing in the new Torah November 13th through 15th. Look for opportunities to sign up for you, for your family, as well to take advantage of a really special opportunity to write a Sefer Torah together. Lastly, I hope that your calendars are marked just around a month from now. Chazan Vogel's retirement weekend, Friday evening, November 4th, a special instrumental Shabbat and Oneg. And then Sunday, November 6th, a welcome reception at 3 p.m., a gala concert with divas on the bima, an off-Broadway quality show featuring Jewish pop, rock, and Israeli music performed by 4 outstanding female cantors. 5:45 p.m., a celebratory Taste of Israel supper. We look forward to celebrating you at that weekend, again, to thanking Chazan Vogel and celebrating all that he has brought to our community. We continue and conclude this evening with final prayers. First, page 248, a psalm for the season of repentance, followed by Adon Olam.
לדוד אדוני אורי וישימי מאירה, אדוני מעוז חיי ממי אחד, בקרוב עלי מרים לכל לבשרי, שרי ויפעלי ולמדם. אחת שאלתי מת אדוני אותה אבקש, שבתי בבית אדוני בכל ימי חיי, לחזות בנום אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו, יספנני בסוכו ביום רעה, יסתירני בסתו עליו בצור יום רומני. אל תסר מדך ממנו, אל תף באף עבדך, ורציר. יביא ועמי ועזם ונמרס. אורני אורני דרכך ונחורי בחושו. כי קמו ויעדי שקר ופיח חכמס. ולהם מנטירות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים. קווה אל אדוני חזק ואמץ ליבך. V'kaveh el Adonai. Include Yigdal, page 250. Yigdal Elohim chai v'yishtabach nimtza v'yeneit el mitziuto echad v'yen yachid ki yichudo nelam v'gam nitzof v'yachduto ein lo demut haguf v'yeino guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kadmon lechol davar asher nivra rishon v'yein reshit l'reshito hino adon olam v'chol notzar yoreh gedulato u'malchuto shefa nivrato netano el anshei segulato v'tifarto lo kam b'Yisrael Yemoshe od Navi umabit et temunato Torah temet Natan li'amoel al yad nevio ne'eman beito lo yachalif ha'el ve'lo yamir dato v'yolamim v'zulato tzofeh v'yodea setarenu ma'abif v'sof davar v'kadmato gomer le'ish chesed yemifalo noten l'rasha ra kirishato yishlach yikes yamin mishichenu lithlon mechakeketz yeshuato metim yechayel v'rov chasdo Baruch Adei Shem Teilato Meitim Yechayel B'Roch Asto Baruch Adei Shem Teilato
Gamar Chatima Tova, may we all be sealed in the book of blessing this year.